Hello, my name is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me today for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint some super easy clouds. I am an artist and acrylic painting educator. I do video tutorials on YouTube and other places. I have hundreds of free tutorials on YouTube if you want to check those out, or on my website. Today, we're going to be painting using some really awesome My Mary paints. These are acrylic, kind of a softer body acrylic paint. And I'm using a variety of different colors for our clouds today. I'll be also using some Princeton brushes. This is the Aspen 2-inch Mottler, the 3/8-inch Velvet Touch blender, the short-handled Princeton Filbert, and the Deerfoot Stippler Princeton Select 3/8-inch. These brushes make it so easy to do clouds. I promise you, you will be able to do clouds after this video. All right, so let's get started here. I'm going to be starting out with my Mottler. These are one of my favorite brushes. They work really well for blending and they do a great job. I'm going to be using the Strathmore stretch canvas. This is the 9x12 size. Let me go over my colors really quick here. Phthalo blue, ultramarine blue, titanium white, and then this one is our secret weapon, zinc white. These work really good for clouds because it's a transparent white, so it does a really nice job of making our clouds feel translucent and floaty. So I'm going to start out with just white, and then I'm going to, this is the secret, you're going to load just half of your brush with the blue to start with. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of that phthalo blue, and I'm going to blend it back and forth on the palette. You need to have a spray bottle and spray your canvas. Not too much, but just a little bit of water will help open up the pores of that canvas and get it ready to be painted. All right, so I'm going to go back and forth here with my lightest color at the bottom of the canvas. And I always like to have kind of a little bit of white or light yellow or whatever lightest color that we're going to be using at the bottom of the horizon. It just helps to make the horizon feel deeper and farther away. So I'm going to pick up a little bit more blue in my brush, and I'm going to walk it down into that paint, and I'm going to continually go back and forth, and have a nice, beautiful gradient of color. So now we have pretty much solid blue. So I'm going to get now some ultramarine blue for the very top to go nice and dark, right at the very top. But you can see how I'm starting kind of halfway, where half of that brush is on the previous layer and the next part is above it. And that will help it blend together. And then just to finish it off, I'm going to go very lightly and just kind of blend it down. As I let it dry, we will work on our cloud technique. All right, so our background is dry. Let's go ahead and show you some really simple ways to do some clouds. So I'm going to be using a 4 filbert here to start with, and grab some of the titanium white and some zinc white. So right up here, I'm going to set my brush down. I've got a little bit of paint on there, not too much, and just run it in sort of a semicircular motion up toward the top of my cloud there. And I want the top to be fairly saturated with white. If I need to, I can pick up a little bit more. Once I start to see that texture through the canvas, I'm going to start walking it side to side. So if we want to get a little fancier and we want a little bit more texture to our clouds, we're going to use the Deerfoot Stippler, titanium white, zinc white. Now if I want a little bit more texture at the top, I can get a little bit more paint just at the very tip of that brush, and I can tap to get kind of that wispy feathered effect at the top of my cloud. But I tend to like to kind of have it smoother. So I'm going to just kind of use that brush and sort of wisp it out. Now you can see right here where that canvas texture is showing through. We don't have to put in any gray because that dark blue that's underneath is going to peek through because we're using that translucent paint Also, we need to let this dry a little bit because it can tend to kind of, as it dries, it'll stick together and it can lift off our paint off of our canvas. So just watch for that. If it feels like you're seeing an area where there's too much of that blue from the background showing through, then you may want to wait and let it dry for a little bit before you add another layer. So I'm going to want to add a little bit more bright color to that. Maybe there's one right here. I had a little spot there that kind of got covered. If you have an area where you feel like there's too much paint, you can take a dry, kind of just damp brush and sort of pull some of that paint off. You can see I'm kind of washing it away with that damp brush. And I can soften off any of the area that feels like maybe it's a little too harsh. I'm going to use this brush over here in the area that I did that first cloud, just so that it kind of looks a little bit more integrated, and also to make it a little bit bigger because it's higher than the other clouds, so maybe it's going to have a little bit more weight. You can see I haven't reloaded my brush since I started doing this cloud, so you can do a ton of work with just one load of paint in your brush. Maybe there's a very soft little wispy thing happening up here. Sometimes I like to hold it way back on the corner and just zigzag it, and then I get some really random shapes and things. Better than if I'm holding it really tightly and trying to control everything. This should be fun. Let the brush do the work. These brushes are great for clouds. We've just got blue and white, that's it. Super simple, but because we're using that kind of transparent zinc white and also letting the canvas kind of peek through, doing very thin layers, we're getting nice translucency and we're seeing that darker color through our clouds. It's creating this gradient graying effect, and we're not having to do any other colors in here at all. There we go. Got a beautiful sunny blue sky, some nice light wispy clouds. You can use the smaller brush to do some very faint, like thin clouds. I like to use it to just kind of scrub in some like very light wispy thin clouds, wipe my brush out, and then kind of come up underneath them around that color and kind of pull it out, push it around a little bit while it's wet. Using just these 4 brushes, we were able to create a beautiful cloudy sky, and I hope that you try this. I promise you these brushes make it so easy to create clouds. I think the key is using the right kind of paint, a little bit softer body paint, very little paint on the brush. We're going to add some trees and in part 2 and show you how to do some really simple, beautiful trees. And then we're going to put them all together and create a really beautiful landscape for you in part 3. Thanks for watching. Bye.